The ability to communicate with others is critical to a young child's development and it is a prerequisite to academic learning. Yet, some children have disorders that interfere with various aspects of their abilities to communicate. This digest discusses various types of communication disorders, the learning difficulties associated with them, the special case of English language learners, and the educational significance of communication disorders. But before that, what is a communication disorder? Children with communication disorders have deficits in their ability to exchange information with the others. Communication disorder may occur in the realm of language, speech, and or hearing. Language difficulties include spoken language, reading and or writing difficulties. Speech encompasses such areas as articulation and phonology. The ability to speak clearly and be intelligible. Then the fluency or stuttering and the voice. Hearing difficulties may also encompass speech problems such as articulation or voice or language problems. Hearing impairments include deafness and hearing loss, which can result from a conjunctive loss, a sensory renewal loss, a mixed loss, or a central hearing loss. Communication disorders may result from many different conditions. For example, language-based learning disabilities are the result of a difference in brain structure present at birth. This particular difficulty may be genetically based. Other communication disorders stem from oral motor difficulties such as an apraxia or dysarthria of speech, aphasia, difficulties resulting from a stroke which may involve motor, speech, and language problems. Then the traumatic problem injuries and stuttering, which is now believed to be a neurological deficit. Most common conditions that affect children's communication include language-based learning disabilities, attention deficit disorder, attention deficit hyperactive disorder, cerebral palsy, mental disabilities, cleft lip or palate, and autism spectrum disorders. What are the characteristics of children with communication disorders? A child with a communication problem may present many different symptoms. This may include difficulty following directions, attending to a conversation, pronouncing words, perceiving what was said, expressing oneself, or being understood because of a stutter or a hoarse voice. Problems with language may involve difficulty expressing ideas coherently, learning new vocabulary, understanding questions, following directions, recalling information, understanding and remembering something that has just been said, reading at a satisfactory pace, comprehending spoken or read material, learning the alphabet, identifying sounds that corresponds to letters, perceiving the correct order of letters in words, and possibly spelling. Difficulties with speech may include being unintelligible due to a motor problem or due to poor learning. Sound hoarse, breathy, or harsh may be due to a voice problem. Stuttering also affects speech intelligibility because the child's flow of speech is interrupted. Many communication problems can be improved by therapy. Some problems never be cured, but children can learn new strategies to overcome their difficulties, such as attention deficit or stuttering. Some children may be able to overcome their deficit as they grow older, such as mild language delays, while others may compensate by communicating through electronic means, such as an augmentative communication device or hearing aid. A strong relationship exists between communication and academic achievement. Language and communication proficiency, along with academic success, depends on whether students can match their communications to the learning teaching style of the classroom. Students with communication disorder are capable of high academic success if they learn the classroom's social, language, and learning patterns. Teachers and speech language pathologists should focus their attention on classroom interactions, the language, and the communications used within the school in order to help students learn to communicate in these environments. Explicit language and communication planning, as well as non-deliberate language use, such as unconscious choice of language, are important features of the school and class environment that provide opportunities for teaching and learning.
Now let's discuss about inclusive education for children with communication disabilities. Inclusive education for children with communication disabilities is an important aspect of ensuring that all students have access to quality education. Communication disabilities can include a range of conditions that affect a child's ability to communicate effectively, such as speech and language disorder, hearing impairment, and autism spectrum disorder. Inclusive education is based on the principle that all children should learn together regardless of differences. Inclusive education recognizes the capacity of every person to learn, including people with disability, and acknowledges that each person have different strengths, requirements, and learning styles. The primary goals of inclusive special education or inclusive education for children with communication disability is to guarantee that kids with disabilities receive a quality education. In terms of receiving special facilities or public facilities from an early age to high school education. So by the way, what is the purpose of inclusive education for students with disability? So, inclusive education values diversity and the unique contribution each student brings to the classroom. In a truly inclusive setting, every child feels safe and has a sense of belonging. Students and their parents participate in setting learning goals and take part in decisions that affect them. So how we can promote the inclusive education for children with communication disabilities? So to promote inclusive education for children with communication disabilities, it is important to provide appropriate accommodation and support to help these students success in the classroom. And this may include communication aid and device, individualized education plans or IEPs, or teacher training and inclusive classroom practices. So communication aid and device. Students with communication disabilities may benefit from the use of communication aids and devices, such as augmentative and alternative communication or AEC devices, sign language interpreter, or captioning these services. These tools can help students communicate more effectively with their teacher and peers and participate more fully in classroom activities. Next, individualized education plans or EPs. An EPs is a plan that outlines a specific accommodation that support that students with disability needs to success in the classroom. For students with communication disability, an IEP may include strategies for improving communication skills such as speech therapy or social skill training. Third, teacher training. And other education professionals may need training and support effectively. Work with students with communication disability. This may include training on how to use communication aids and devices, strategies for promoting communication and social skills, and understanding the unique needs of students with different types of communication disabilities. The last one, inclusive classroom practice. Inclusive classroom practices that promote participation and engagement for all students can benefit students with communication disability as well. This practice may include group work and collaboration, differentiated instructions, and a focus on student-centered learning. By providing appropriate accommodation and support and promoting inclusive classroom practice, we can help ensure that children with communication disability have equal access to education and the opportunity to reach their full potential.